When one of a team's most talented young players is left out during the most important moments of the season, questions inevitably arise. And it's not just the fans who are wondering. Within the franchise itself, the silence surrounding Jonathan Kuminga's absence has become deafening. Even as the Golden State Warriors advance in the playoffs and secure a defensive victory against the Houston Rockets 95-85, in the first game of the series, Kuminga's absence stands out as much as any basket or clutch play. The team's roster showed experience and defensive solidity, locking in the first win. But the absence of a key piece draws more attention than the team's overall solid performance. Jonathan Kuminga, viewed by many as an essential part of the franchise's future, is not among those fighting on the court. He watches from a distance, on the bench, with a look that mixes frustration and restrained support. It all began in the final stretch of the regular season, more specifically in the last game against the Los Angeles Clippers, when Steve Kerr decided to leave Kuminga out of the rotation. The decision caught many by surprise. The young forward had been on a steady rise, becoming increasingly influential in games. His exclusion from the match was interpreted by many as a one-off decision, but the absence continued in the following games, and so far, nothing has changed. The bench has become Kuminga's stage, while his teammates fight for another championship run. The contrast between his promising talent and current inactivity reveals behind-the-scenes tension that seems to go beyond technical choices. This sudden sidelining raises doubts not only about the coaching staff's perspective, but also about the direction the franchise plans to take from here on out. Throughout the season, Kuminga showed clear signs of growth. In the last 5 games before being pulled from the rotation, he averaged 9.4 points per game. Modest numbers, but significant in context. Few minutes on the court, a system built around the veterans, and still, efficiency and effort. However, the landscape shifted with the arrival of a new piece to the roster, Jimmy Butler. The veteran's introduction had an immediate impact on the rotation, creating intense competition for minutes and requiring tactical adjustments. As a result, Kuminga lost space, and his role within the team was minimized. The chemistry that has always been a hallmark of the Warriors seems to be facing its greatest test. Publicly asked about Kuminga's absence, Steve Kerr chose a diplomatic approach. In an interview with the Willard and Dibbs show, the coach praised the player's attitude, highlighting his positive energy and willingness to support his teammates. "Jonathan has been excellent in his attitude, cheering for the team, always ready. He's a great kid," Kerr said, in a tone that blended appreciation with caution. "It's been tough, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do, staying ready." Despite the optimistic tone, Kerr's body language during the statement didn't go unnoticed. It seemed as if the coach was trying to convince himself of the situation as much as he was trying to convince others. The careful choice of words suggested an underlying discomfort, as if there was more behind the decision to bench Kuminga than he could reveal at that moment. "I told him, and our assistants did too, that everything can change quickly in the NBA. He needs to be ready when his time comes, and he's doing that. I'd be surprised if at some point that time doesn't come." Words that sound like encouragement, but could also be interpreted as preparation for an eventual shift, maybe even a premature farewell. Behind the scenes at Chase Center, there's more than training sessions and tactical meetings. Sources close to the franchise report that the relationship between Kuminga and part of the coaching staff has been gradually wearing down. Disagreements about his role, differing expectations, and the natural impatience of a young player seeking validation are ingredients in a situation that seems increasingly hard to resolve. The forward's frustration has intensified as his minutes have dwindled, especially considering the progress he has shown since entering the NBA as the 7th overall pick in the 2021 draft. His flashes of brilliance, acrobatic dunks, defensive intensity, physical dominance, sharply contrast with his current invisibility on the court. Behind the scenes, some teammates have shown support for the youngster. Veterans like Draymond Green have reportedly even spoken to him, asking for patience and sharing their own experiences with the league's ups and downs. But even the most well-advised patience has an expiration date, especially for a player who needs real minutes to grow. This tension becomes even more intense when we place the Warriors' current moment into perspective. The team is at a crossroads that challenges its identity and future planning. On one side, established veterans like Stephen Curry, who at 36 still shows brilliance and the ability to decide games. On the other, young talents who symbolize the future but are still waiting for their chance to shine. The big question looming in the locker room is, how long will the franchise continue to rely on its past idols before fully embracing the next generation? The dilemma is worsened by the pressure for immediate results. Staying competitive while restructuring is an almost impossible task, especially in a league where each season can mean the difference between building a legacy or starting a long rebuild. Former GM Bob Myers, architect of the Warriors dynasty, used to say that the biggest challenge for a winning team is recognizing the right moment to turn the page. Now, his successor faces that challenge with Kuminga's future at the center of the discussion. And that future may lie far from San Francisco. According to rumors circulating among league executives and insiders, the Golden State Warriors are considering a trade involving Kuminga and Moses Moody with the Portland Trail Blazers. In return, they would receive Anfernee Simons, a guard who averaged 19.3 points and 4.8 assists per game this season, along with a respectable 36.3% from three-point range. The proposal initially surfaced as speculation, but it has gained traction in internal discussions and debates in the specialized media. Simons is young, talented, and has the ideal profile to contribute immediately while also preparing the team for a future without Curry. The tactical fit would be almost perfect. The Warriors' style of play, based on constant movement and long-range shooting, favors players who can space the floor, something Simons does efficiently. His offensive versatility and energy on the court would bring new dynamism to the team's attack, while his youth would allow for a smoother transition into a new era. On the other hand, Portland sees the opportunity to add two promising young players to a roster clearly in rebuild mode. With names like Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, the Blazers have a young core that needs time and space to grow. Kuminga's arrival would bring more balance to the roster, along with defensive versatility and athletic ability. Moody's contract, with its affordable value and good duration, makes the deal even more attractive. In a league where the salary cap limits aggressive moves, efficient contracts become true gold mines. As Jonathan Kuminga's silence grows louder with each playoff game, the Golden State Warriors press on in their journey, trying to reconcile their glorious past with the uncertainty of what lies ahead. Kuminga's absence from the rotation lays bare an uncomfortable reality for the franchise. The formula that once brought success may no longer be enough to secure the future. And in this context, the decisions being made now will define not only the next season but also the enduring legacy of an era. In the corridors of the Chase Center, the front office faces a complex equation. On one hand, there's the pressure for immediate results, fueled by the past years of success and the expectations surrounding a veteran roster. On the other, the urgent need to prepare the ground for the next generation. Jonathan Kuminga embodies at his core this dilemma. His raw talent, energy, and potential make him an enticing prospect for any rebuilding team, and a troubling question mark for a squad still aiming to compete at a high level. And that's precisely why the debate over whether he should stay or go is becoming increasingly intense. The proposal involving the Portland Trail Blazers is more than just a player swap. It's a statement about identity, direction, and vision for the future. By considering giving up Kuminga, the Warriors would be implicitly admitting that the timeline for his development no longer aligns with the urgency of their current project. This possibility adds even more weight to every decision Steve Kerr makes. His choice to keep Kuminga on the bench rather than gradually integrating him into specific moments of games is being interpreted by many as silent preparation for his departure. The franchise seems to be avoiding public friction, maintaining a narrative of support and patience, but without offering concrete signs that there's a clear plan to reintegrate him in any meaningful way. Meanwhile, fans are split. Some argue that Kuminga should be traded as soon as possible, before his declining value impacts his trade worth. Others, however, believe he hasn't even been given a fair chance to show what he can really do. And it's this tension between potential and pragmatism that gives the situation a dramatic tone. At the same time, Anthony Simons emerges as the ideal fit within Kerr's tactical philosophy. A quick guard with the ability to space the floor, shoot under pressure, and play alongside Curry without compromising offensive fluidity. The possibility of adding Simons to the roster represents an attempt to adapt the Warriors' system without breaking away from the identity that brought them to the top. He would bring immediate impact, a crucial point when you have a player like Curry still operating at an elite level, yet drawing closer to the end of his career. However, the NBA's backstage dealings are always more complex than coaches' whiteboards or statistical graphs. Sources close to the league indicate that Kuminga is not the only name being evaluated in potential Golden State shakeups. Despite the public focus on him, the franchise has been carefully analyzing all pieces of the roster that could be used as trade assets to accelerate a renewal process with immediate impact. Internally, Bob Myers' departure still echoes behind the scenes. His successor faces the challenge of maintaining the winning culture built in recent years while trying to implement his own strategic vision. Kuminga, being a high draft pick under the previous leadership, represents more than just a promising player. He also carries the weight of a legacy and of decisions made under a long-term philosophy. Deciding his fate now is, in a way, a rite of passage for the new leadership. Moreover, there's a narrative element that can't be ignored. The Warriors, long accustomed to winning with an unmistakable style, are increasingly pressured to prove they can still compete amid a league that has evolved dramatically in recent years. The game is faster, more versatile, more physical, and less tolerant of long development processes. Patience, once a strategic virtue, has become a dangerous luxury for teams that still aspire to titles. For Kuminga, this scenario represents an almost existential dilemma. In Golden State, he is constantly measured against the towering standards of a team used to shaping champions. Elsewhere, he could become a symbol of renewal, a player with the freedom to make mistakes, grow, and assert himself. The decision over his future, therefore, is not merely a market move. It's a choice between continuing to try to prove his worth in a restrictive system or seeking his full potential in a more favorable environment. In practice, reports indicate that the young player continues to train with intensity and maintain a professional attitude, but it's impossible to ignore the emotional toll of being left out of the rotation in key moments. The player who was once compared to rising stars now finds himself on the margins of a team fighting to survive in the postseason. With every game, every minute he doesn't play, the pressure on the franchise grows, and the time for a definitive resolution shrinks. The coming weeks could mark the beginning of a new era for the Golden State Warriors, whether through the consolidation of a major trade or a renewed internal role for Kuminga. In either case, what's at stake goes far beyond numbers or contracts. What's at stake is the soul of the team, its ability to adapt, to recognize when it's time to change, and above all, to continue competing without losing its identity. Even though the franchise has not officially commented on trade talks involving the player, the pattern is familiar, as it has been in many other situations throughout NBA history. When a player is no longer part of the rotation, when public praise becomes generic, when rumors start leaking from multiple sources, the outcome is usually an imminent departure. But what if that departure doesn't happen? What if Kuminga stays on the roster? The question that remains is, will the Warriors know how to use him? Will there be room to develop raw talent without compromising their championship ambitions? Or will his presence remain a shadow on the bench, a constant reminder of unfulfilled promise? The truth is that at this moment, everything is still open. The franchise's leadership holds in its hands one of the most delicate decisions in recent years, a choice that will not only impact Jonathan Kuminga's future, but also signal to fans, players, and the entire league which path the Golden State Warriors intend to follow. Jonathan Kuminga's stay with the Warriors, despite all the evidence pointing to a potential departure, is still a real possibility. However, if the management decides to keep him, They can no longer ignore the obvious. Deep adjustments will be necessary in the way he is integrated into the team's system. It's not just about putting the young forward on the floor for a few minutes every game. It's about trusting him, taking a chance, giving him a clear role, even if that means tinkering with structures that seemed untouchable until recently. For Kuminga to stay and thrive, Steve Kerr and his coaching staff will need something that, ironically, has become scarce in the team's competitive environment: patience. It will be necessary to accept that, with him on the court, there will be mistakes, hasty decisions, and a lack of reads in specific situations. But at the same time, there will also be athletic explosions that no one else on the roster can offer: bold drives, aggressive defense, and versatility that could be key to surviving in the increasingly unpredictable West. However, this move would require something Kerr has yet to fully demonstrate: a willingness to change his philosophy. The coach, a master at getting the most out of a veteran roster, has yet to show great skill in developing young talent on a large scale. Jordan Poole was a successful exception, but even he was eventually traded. James Wiseman, a lottery pick, never fit in. Moses Moody has oscillated between valuable minutes and total obscurity, and Kuminga remains in that same limbo, close enough to inspire confidence, distant enough to not be a priority. If the plan is truly to bet on his development, Kerr will have to adjust the rotation, give up minutes from veterans like Wiggins, and even tweak tactical formations. Specific plays will need to be prepared to exploit Kuminga's best qualities, giving him real offensive responsibilities and allowing him to make mistakes without immediate exile to the bench. He will need to be seen as an essential part of the future, not just a secondary project. On the other hand, if the franchise moves forward with a trade, especially for a player like Anthony Simons, it would signal a complete reorientation of the project. Golden State would officially be prioritizing the short term, and it would make sense. With Curry still shining, Draymond Green active, and the possibility of maintaining a competitive core, betting on ready players is the logical path. Simons would bring a new offensive layer to the team. He could share creation duties with Curry, offering more dynamism to the offense, more spacing, and allowing Steph to play off the ball more often, something that historically has yielded excellent results. Furthermore, Simons is at an intermediate age, neither a declining veteran nor an unpolished rookie. He would fit perfectly into a timeline that seeks to be competitive now, but still has a few years before facing a full rebuild. The arrival of Simons, however, would mean sacrificing Kuminga's future potential. It would mean accepting that he will likely explode with another franchise, that we will see his highlights in different uniforms, and that his rise will not happen under the blue and gold jersey. In this sense, the decision is almost emotional. The Warriors need to answer a question that transcends statistics. Do they still believe Kuminga can be a key part of their future? If they believe, the path is one. It requires adjustments, patience, and changes in the playing philosophy. If they don't believe, the path is another, and there is no more time for indecision. Keeping Kuminga on the bench for another season without concrete prospects will not only be bad for the player, it will be bad for the franchise, which will continue to see its most valuable asset lose value with every game. And here enters a third element in this equation: the NBA market. The upcoming offseason will be one of the busiest in recent years. Teams like the Orlando Magic, Charlotte Hornets, and San Antonio Spurs are hungry for young players with high developmental ceilings. Kuminga, in this context, could be more coveted than imagined. His trade doesn't need to be limited to the Portland Trail Blazers. There's potential for involving multiple teams, accumulating assets, clearing space on the cap sheet, and at the same time, staying competitive. The Warriors' management knows this, and is examining every scenario under a magnifying glass. While all of this unfolds behind the scenes, on the court, the team continues its playoff run with the invisible tension of knowing that the group may be living its last moments with this formation. Every game could be Kuminga's last with the Warriors jersey. Every loss could speed up a change. Every win could delay the inevitable, but not necessarily prevent it. In the locker room, the atmosphere is one of focus, but there is a weight in the air. The veterans know they're playing against time. The young players know every minute on the court is a unique opportunity, and management knows that, regardless of how the playoffs end, tough decisions will have to be made soon. Jonathan Kuminga, even without saying a word publicly, has become the silent center of an ongoing revolution. A player who represents more than statistics or plays. He is the mirror of a franchise at a crossroads. His stay or departure will define much more than the future of his career. It will define how the Warriors wish to be remembered in the years to come. Will they chase another title at all costs, even if it means letting go of developing talents? Or will they have the courage to renew their foundations, even with the risk of stumbling along the way? This is the question that echoes within the walls of the Chase Center. And the answer, whatever it may be, will mark the end of an era, or the beginning of a new one. The Golden State Warriors may be on the verge of making a move that could shake up the NBA and further expand their global fan base. Reports indicate that the franchise is interested in signing Filipino center Kai Sotto for the 2025 season. If this happens, it won't just be a strategic decision to strengthen the roster, but also a significant milestone in the history of the league and basketball in the Philippines. Standing at 7'2", 218 meters, Kai Sotto naturally stands out in any game. But it's not just his height that draws attention. What truly impresses is his combination of skills, making him a versatile and promising player for modern basketball. The NBA is increasingly favoring players who bring multiple options to the court, and that's exactly what Kai offers. On defense, he uses his wingspan and reaction time to efficiently protect the rim, making life much more difficult for opponents in the paint. On offense, he sets himself apart from traditional centers with his ability to shoot from mid-range, an increasingly valued skill in the league. The ability to space the floor and provide more offensive options makes Kai a valuable asset for any team, especially for a team like the Warriors, who have always excelled at maximizing versatile players. But Kai Sotto's story goes beyond his talent on the court. His journey is marked by challenges and achievements that inspire millions of fans, especially in the Philippines, where basketball is more than just a sport. It's a true national passion. From a very young age, Kai stood out in local basketball, gaining attention for his height and refined skills. However, he knew that to reach the highest level, he would need to step out of his comfort zone and seek bigger challenges. That's why he left his home country as a teenager to play in high-level leagues abroad. His first major international experience was in the NBL, Australia's professional basketball league, where he faced seasoned opponents and proved he had the ability to compete at a high level. Over time, Kai improved his game awareness and became an important piece in his team's defensive and offensive systems. He then moved to Japan's B League, where he continued his development and solidified his name as one of the league's top players. This experience was crucial for his growth both on and off the court. Facing different playing styles and adapting to new cultures helped Kai prepare for the next step in his career, the NBA. Kai Sotto's potential arrival at the Golden State Warriors wouldn't just be a technical addition to the team, but also a strategic move with significant global impact. The franchise already has a strong fan base in Asia, and signing one of the Philippines' biggest basketball talents would greatly strengthen that connection. The Bay Area, where the Warriors are based, is home to one of the largest Filipino communities outside the Philippines, meaning Kai's presence could create a new wave of engagement among local and global fans. Kai's impact on the Warriors would go beyond the court. He could become a true ambassador for Filipino basketball in the NBA, inspiring young players and drawing even more attention to the sport in his home country. His presence in the league could motivate a new generation of Filipino athletes to dream big and believe that reaching the highest level of world basketball is possible. Now, looking specifically at how Kai Sotto could fit into the Warriors' system, it's clear that he has attributes that align with the team's needs. Over the years, the Warriors have built their identity around fast-paced play, efficient ball movement, and high-precision shooting. However, one area the team has been looking to improve is its defensive presence in the paint. Kai could be exactly the missing piece to strengthen this aspect of the game. If signed, he could make an immediate impact on rim protection, something the Warriors haven't always had consistently in recent years. His height and wingspan would allow the team to have a player capable of contesting shots and making it difficult for opponents to drive to the basket. Additionally, his presence on the boards would help initiate fast breaks, which have always been a trademark of the team. On offense, his ability to shoot from mid-range and finish near the rim would add new options to the Warriors' offensive scheme. A center who can space the floor while also providing security in the paint could be a key piece in keeping the team competitive in an increasingly dynamic NBA. Another interesting aspect of Kai Sotto's potential arrival at the Warriors is the marketing and brand expansion factor. The NBA already has a strong global appeal, and the Warriors are one of the most popular teams outside the United States. With Kai on the roster, the team could further expand its presence in Asia, attracting new fans and sponsors interested in the Filipino and Asian markets as a whole. The connection between Kai and Filipino fans wouldn't be just commercial, but also emotional. He represents something bigger than just a basketball player. He is a symbol of perseverance and overcoming obstacles for millions of fans. His journey serves as a reminder that with dedication and effort, any player can achieve their dreams, regardless of their background. Of course, transitioning to the NBA wouldn't be a simple process. The level of competition in the league is extremely high, and Kai would need to adapt quickly to the pace and demands of professional American basketball. However, if there's one thing he has already proven throughout his career, it's that he's willing to work hard and face any challenge that comes his way. Playing alongside experienced stars would help Kai accelerate his adaptation process. With guidance from veteran players and a high-level coaching environment, he could further develop his game and become an important piece for the team. Kai Sotto's potential arrival at the Golden State Warriors wouldn't just be a talent acquisition. It would be an event with global resonance. His impact on and off the court has the potential to transform the franchise and further elevate the NBA's popularity on the international stage. The move makes sense for both the Warriors and Kai. For the franchise, it presents a new opportunity to strengthen the roster and expand its global brand. For Kai, it would be the opportunity of a lifetime, the chance to showcase his value in the world's biggest basketball league and inspire millions of fans following his journey. This potential signing has all the ingredients to be one of the biggest moments of the next NBA season. Now, the question remains, will the Warriors take this step and bring Kai Sotto to the Bay Area? So, Dub Nation, what do you think about this news? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on everything about the Warriors. Thanks, and see you in the next video.